Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our first council meeting of 2024. As you can tell outside, it is very crisp, and it is going to get a little bit colder. So if anybody knows of any people that need some warming areas, please contact our community and social development and also the town's website. There are locations for warming facilities within the town in Stony Plain, so make sure that people are not getting too cold. And if they need more services, there's definitely a connection and a group network of organizations that will make sure that these individuals get to where they need to find the services that are required at this time of the year. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, council, there is a agenda before you. Deputy Mayor, please.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. The Town Council adopted January 8th, 2024 regular council meeting agenda as presented.
Okay, thank you. Administration, anything to
Your Worship, nothing to add at this time.
Okay. With that, I'll call the question on favor. That is carried. Okay, moving to number 3 of our agenda is a public input session. This is the time that we allow residents and any stakeholders to talk to council on anything that's not on the current agenda. Administration, has anybody registered to speak?
Through your worship, yes, Doug and Kathleen Lowe have registered to speak during public input this evening.
Welcome, Doug and Kathleen. Please sit down. The mics are turned on for you, so if you can actually just kind of tilt it towards you and talk directly into the mics.
Print my name.
This has been an ongoing issue for us and I guess other people.
Okay. Kathleen, can I get you to take that mic and just point it and pull it down towards you so that it picks up?
Okay. Excessive speed and noise have been ongoing issues since we moved to Stony Plain. Calls
24 years ago, we moved to Stony Plain.
Calls have been made to bylaw concerning this. We have witnessed vehicles speeding down Fairway Drive, even if been passed in the playground zone. Witnessed school buses being passed while the bus is stopped, letting passengers on and off. I have almost been struck in a crosswalk by a speeding vehicle. It was going so fast that when it braked hard, the back tires came off the ground. There is the noise from various vehicles. A person should not have to go inside on a nice day in order to have a conversation on their deck or around the fire pit. Missing bits of TV programs because of the bark of mufflers. There's no need to sit at a stop sign and rev the engine just to make noise, and that happens on a regular basis. Racing up and down Veterans Boulevard after 10 p.m. or after dark when they know there's nobody around to stop them. The skid marks are visible on the roadway. Leaving or entering subdivisions after midnight with mufflers roaring. Earlier this November, 4 motorcycles and riders, because it was still very nice out, were stopped but idling beside our home waiting for Fairway Drive traffic to clear. When there was no traffic, they cracked on their bikes, revving their engines before racing off towards Veterans Boulevard. My husband had to readjust some of the framed pictures in the house because they were skewed from the vibration. We've also left the comfort of our home and our backyard to escape the noise, going for a drive, which costs money. And we shouldn't be forced to leave our own home just to escape rude behavior. I'm just wondering why it's taken so long. Like we've called bylaw and we've called the RCMP and everybody else. It just seems to be nobody's really worried about it, except, the people who are being affected by it. There's nobody stopping the speeding or, and the noise just goes on and on. I'm not even sure how you could stop it.
Okay. You have something to add there, Doug?
There is quite a few, especially on the weekends. Now, we get up to mufflers. That's what wakes us up. And we get mufflers when we go to bed. And I'm not lying to you. It's an all-day thing. There's so many of mufflers in this town that they just circle it. They just go down our street, they turn around, come around. Many a times I have witnessed, they come off of Veterans Way with loud mufflers. They're letting us have it good. They go to the golf course, and turn around and come back and nail us again. Like, that's pretty dirty. And that goes on quite a bit. It's mainly the younger kids. But every kid in that school, high school, has a vehicle, and they've cut the mufflers off them. For the last 10 years, it's really got bad. We feel that they're destroying the quality of our life, because my house is sideways to the road. Like most places, you got your front of your house, the road is in the front of your house. My main road is on the side of my home. So I get my backyard, my side of my house, my front of my house. It pretty well has to stop, because this has been going really hard for the last 10 years, and we have complained and complained to bylaw. And another question, why do I have to come here when this is technically a bylaw issue? I should be able to phone bylaw, and, which I have many a times, over the noise and people racing up and down our streets. They should be the ones dealing with this. I shouldn't be sitting here right now talking to you.
Okay. Appreciate you bringing that forward to us, and I think members of council and myself have received similar complaints. I'm not too sure if it was from you or not. We do send it to our peace officers, and our community standards bylaw addresses some of that. In terms of speeding, definitely that is an issue and concern for members of council. We do full enforcement on that playground zone there, because there is a lot of traffic there, as well as a lot of pedestrians walk across. Is it past the playground zone, or is it mainly in that playground
No,
zone?
it's past the playground zone. It's past the 50 zone. Between the 50 zone and Veterans Boulevard is where they figure, okay, I've slowed down now. Now I've lost all that time, so I'm going to make up for it by fogging on her till I get to Veterans Boulevard, and then they go. I mean, when that guy stopped, there was another family with me. I didn't get their name. You know, the dad was throwing the kids out of the way because this car came out of nowhere. It was just flying. When it almost struck me, and I'm standing there going, okay, deer in the headlights, and it stopped. Its back tires came off the ground and came down. That's how fast. Now, how fast are you going? If it's a 50 zone, you hammer on the brakes on a 50 zone on bare pavement, you're not going to lift your back tires up and slam them down, you know, and they get going that fast, you know. There hasn't, thank God, nobody has been injured in that crosswalk. There's been a couple pets killed, you know, because they're on a lead in front of somebody and the vehicles, they're not stopping, you know. I'm sure the buses have caught a few people who have passed them, but, you know, they're long gone before anybody shows up, because they're gone, they're flying.
Okay, thank you. And then maybe that's something that our administration can review. I know it's on Fairways Drive. If you go west, there is a speed monitor that goes the other way. So
Yeah,
maybe
it's coming east, the speed monitor. I mean, I've seen it when I've been on Veterans Boulevard. The speed monitors only are 2 digits, so if you're doing 99, it'll flash 99. When it's going, blah, 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 that means you're going way over 100, or, you know, you're doing over 3 digits in the speed limit down Veterans, and they don't care. They figure, well, I've got no lights, I've got places to go and people to see, and it's like, well, yeah, but so does everybody else, or somebody you might hit, or somebody who's coming out, or a kid riding a bike or crossing a road or whatever, because we do have a lot of kids around there, littler ones too.
yeah. Okay, thank you and appreciate that, and definitely our staff will review that. In terms of the noise of the loud mufflers, 100% if that is disturbing the quality of life, if you can happen to get a license plate and submit that to the town of Stony Plain.
When they wake you up, I gotta find my glasses and then get out to the front, find a flashlight, and get out the front door and spot them, but then they're gone, but.
Yeah, so I know it's what happened in here as well, because I know it's, one of our officers did pull down a blue truck that had excess noise, but they were here to catch them.
Yeah,
But if they're not there, we need a signed affidavit and somebody willing to go to court saying that they did witness them and they did go there, because we can't charge somebody
yeah.
on hearsay. right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the legal
We're
ramifications that we need to
seriously
have.
Putting up a camera on the corner to sort of catch some of the people that are doing it, but it's difficult to do.
Okay, and definitely thank you, and I'll definitely make sure that, our staff are more aware of maybe what's happening there, especially when you said that people are passing school buses in the school zone or the playground zone. That is very dangerous for
If
residents.
the bus is slowing down, so it's got its lights flashing or whatever, and it's like, well, I'm not waiting for this, and around they go and stuff like that, and the kids cross, like it stops, the school buses stop sort of kitty corner to our house. There's one that stops right beside our house, and there's one that stops at the street, on, kitty corner to it. And I've watched them zig through while the buses are stopped picking up kids. Oh, they're just picking up kids. There's nobody crossing the road. And they deke around, and the bus drivers are all laying on their horns like, what are you doing? There's kids. Somebody forgets his lunch or drops something in the middle of the crosswalk and zips around to pick it up. Well, they're a pancake.
Okay,
I mean, it's scary. When my kids I watched a lot of it when my kids went to school, but I mean, it's scarier now that I'm a grandma because, egad.
yeah, for sure, and we'll make sure that there's safety for our residents there. I think that'd be a conversation that we need to have with Parkland School Division as they're the contractors of the buses. I'm hoping that our staff will have that conversation if they have cameras on the buses, and then we'll also make sure that, the bus drivers are aware of the protocols of how to make sure that they take a picture of whoever's going through so that we can have the proper vehicle, the proper license plate to address that, because passing a school bus with flashing light is a large fine.
Yeah, well, I guess some people have lots of money. They don't care.
No, definitely, and thank you and I think your question was that this is a bylaw issue, so I'm just going to
Yeah.
turn over to our general manager or town manager about, in terms of bylaw processes, if a resident has concern regarding speeding, what is the typical process? How do we enforce?
Your worship, through to yourself and our guests and rest of the council, typically, and we have had some conversations with the Lowe family and done some targeted patrols along there. We did yield some tickets, and there were some warnings that were issued in terms of the loud noise. Unfortunately, during our patrols, I think there was only one or two versus what's been described this evening. We continue to do the patrols in that location, as it has been noted from recent complaints related to. Of course, we can't be there 24 hours a day, but certainly if residents do notice some activities that are happening and can get a description of a vehicle, a license plate is certainly beneficial for us. It gives our officers the ability to at least contact a registered owner and talk about the complaint that's been lodged, or find an address and we can go and have a conversation with them. If something happens in terms of an example of someone passing a school bus, typically the school bus driver will get the description of the vehicle and potentially a license, and they give us the details, and a ticket can be issued immediately related to that without the officer witnessing it. So certainly if we can get a license plate number, we can get a car, definitely call that in and let us know what that description is. Our officers can follow up on that. Sometimes going and have a conversation with the person improves the activity. Sometimes we have to provide a different level of enforcement to change and correct the action.
Okay. And I know it's mentioned, there's also commentary about some of the loud mufflers between 3 to 4 o'clock in the morning. I think we're not on patrol in terms of our police officers, but the RCMP is. So is that a conversation that we can have with our police officers, with the RCMP, that if they're in the area to, drive down that road in that time frame?
Your worship, certainly you're correct. Our CPOs are not typically operating at that time. We will talk with the RCMP. They do have a division that goes through the community at that hour. We can certainly ask them to set up some targeted enforcement at that time, at that specific location.
Okay. Thank you. And Doug and Catherine, thank you for bringing this forward, because council does realize that we want to make sure that we're proactive in terms of community safety, and those are definitely things that we'll take a little closer look on.
We would just like to live in our homes is what we would like.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be forced to leave at any point. Even Christmas Day, believe it or not, there was literally 50 people with loud mufflers coming down that road. I left the home at 1:30 in the afternoon because I had enough. It doesn't stop. I got home at 6:30, and from 6:30 to 11, every 10 minutes, I was listening to mufflers. Like, it is a serious problem. So I hope you take it seriously, because I do not want to get a lawyer, because I'd like to just live in my home and retire. I've retired the last 4 or 5 years now, but that's all I want.
Yep. No, thank you, and appreciate your concerns, and definitely, like, if there's things that our staff will do to mitigate some of that. My best guesstimate or estimation of what I've seen in this community, we're not going to stop it. It is trying to find those people that are actually doing it and catch one or two, and then hopefully the word spreads. Thank you.
We'll try and do our part, but, you know, they get beside my home, and then because they can see me on my deck, and that's where they get ignorant, is because I'm outside. And they can see my deck from the road, eh? And that's when they really get ignorant. You know, most of these are kids, but not all of them. My neighbor, every morning at 6:30, guaranteed, you don't have to look at the clock or nothing. He wakes everybody up. You know? So how do you win?
Need his license plate, so let's go.
No, understand, and definitely, like I said, give our peace officers a call, and we'll try to have those conversations with those individuals that we know that are actually doing that.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Very much. Administration, has anybody else signed up for a public input session?
Through your worship, no, there has not been.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody in the gallery would like to speak to council on anything that's not on the current agenda as part of the public input session? Okay. See none. Moving on with our agenda number 4 is presentations and delegations. We have nothing scheduled for tonight, so moving to number 5, which is statutory public hearings. We have nothing scheduled tonight as well. So moving on to adoption of council minutes, and this is the RCM of December 11th. Members of council, you had the opportunity to read them already, so I'll go to Councilor Laurie for the motion, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move that Town Council approve the December 11th, 2023 regular council meeting minutes as presented.
Thank you. Council, any errors or omissions on those minutes? Okay. Did not see any either, so I'll call the question. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, moving on to number 7, which is council boards and committee minutes. And we have the Growth and Commerce Committee from October 31st. Councilor Hansard, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. I move that Town Council receive the council board and committee minutes for information. That isn't specific to just this one. Oh, there is only one.
Yes.
All right. I'm good.
Okay, thank you, members of council. You had the opportunity to read the minutes from the GCC. Any questions, comments regarding the minutes? Okay, see none, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Moving on to number 8 of our agenda is bylaws. Today we have one presentation, and it's the land use bylaw amendment for Western Stage 18. Administration, go ahead.
Ran the wrong place.
The town's planning intern, Caitlin McDonald, and the town's manager of planning, Miles Dibble, and myself to answer questions. One note of there is a slight typo on the council package of the final slide that was presented to council. On the slide, it states that the public hearing will be on February 8th. It should read February 12th. We do apologize for the omission. I'll now turn it over to Ms. McDonald for her presentation.
Thank you. Good evening. This evening, I will be bringing forward the first reading of Bylaw 2683 LUO 24. This bylaw is a land use bylaw amendment consisting of 2 parts, a redistricting of the subject site, as well as an amendment to the zero lot line map. So this is the Stony Plain Land Use Planning Framework. It consists of 5 stages, including intermunicipal planning, municipal planning, neighborhood design, land development, and site development. As this bylaw is a land use bylaw amendment, it takes place within the land development stage, which deals with items such as the land use bylaw, subdivisions, and land servicing. This is the Westera Estates Area Structure Plan Development Concept Map, which demonstrates the land use patterns set out for the area. The subject of this reading is within the southwest area of the map, which just been circled there, and it has been identified as low density for the land use. This map also acknowledges a natural wetland area in the southwest, as well as an area for parks and open space. So this map shows the aerial context for the proposed Westera Stage 18 redistricting in the red hatched area, as well as the surrounding build-out of the Lake Westera Estates neighborhood so far. To the north is the previously approved Westera Stage 17 along Westera Wind. Westera Stage 18 will be a continuation of that development progressing to the south. The development extent of Westera 18 also covers some of the natural area or wetland to the southwest, which the developer has sought provincial approval for. A portion of the wetland will be dedicated at future stages of this development as environmental reserve. The shadow plan demonstrates the context of the surrounding Westera neighborhood, as well as future stages of development that will take place. Westera 18 is continuing down Westera Wind from the north and curving east to connect with Westera Bend. This shadow plan also demonstrates the proposed trail layout for the future stages of development, shown through the red circles to the west, which will continue the existing trail connections in Westera. So this map demonstrates the proposed redistricting for the lots in Westera 18. The proposed land use bylaw districting consists of a redistricting from future development to 4 districts. Future development to R5, small lot mixed form residential district, which provides for a mix of low density dwellings on compact lots. Future development to R2, detached dwelling district, which provides for detached dwellings. The R2 lots are proposed for the southeastern tip of this stage and will cap off the development of Westera Avenue and Westera Bend. Future development to P1, Parks District, which provides lands for active and passive recreational use. This land is intended to be dedicated as environmental reserve to serve as a buffer to the wetland with a wide enough berth to allow for town maintenance. And finally, future development to P3, Utility District, which provides land for major utilities. This land will be used to connect the drainage path from the wetland to the northern drainage site. As this map demonstrates, some of the areas proposed to be redistricted to R5 also propose a zero lot line overlay. This map demonstrates the previously approved zero lot line area along Westera Wind and Westera 17 to the north, as well as the proposed zero lot line area in Westera Stage 18. Westera 18 is proposing to continue the zero lot line development to the eastern side of Westera Wind. If first reading passes, administration will begin advertisement for the public hearing, which is tentatively scheduled for February 12, 2024. Please note that the presentation within the lead sheet stated, within the lead sheet stated February 8th as a public hearing date. However, the correct date is February 12th, as previously mentioned. In accordance with the public advertising bylaw, this application would require the standard category of engagement, which includes a notice sign on the subject site, as well as the information posted on the town website. Thank you. Administration will now take questions.
Okay, thank you for the presentation, Ms. McDonald. Members of Council, any questions for clarity and understanding, please? Okay. Councillor Anderson, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just really quickly, I spent some time looking, couldn't find it. How many zero lot line properties were approved in the stage 17 of that development?
We can find that for you. Just give us a second. Thank you.
Thank you. I think if you look on page, what page is that? Page 36 of 72 for package, and I believe the zero lot lines on the east side of Westera Wind, which is lot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 11, I believe.
we can confirm that is correct. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for clear understanding? Councillor Hansard, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just, I'm trying to get some clarification. When council approved as a new project, that development just south of Brickyard, over by the new school, 0 lot line, it was, I thought, a trial project for us to be able to assess how well that works and how the rest of the neighborhood around it worked with it and accepted it, and if indeed that was the type of housing that would flourish and help provide affordable housing for our residents. I was not aware that we would be moving forward with any other 0 lot line development until we were able to assess that. I know those 0 lot line homes, I think, are under construction, but none have had occupancy certificates issued. Nobody's lived there, and nobody really knows what those are how that's working over there. So how can we move forward approving this until we have some feedback?
Thank you for your question or comment. I think the approval on the Brickyard, as you mentioned, are not 0 lot lines. There are 2 areas of Stony Plain that have 0 lot lines. One is stage 17 of West Terra, which is directly north of this, with 11. And the other area is in South Creek, which is I don't forget what stage that is, but it was the last recent stage that they came and applied for. So the Brickyard has no 0 lot lines.
Your Worship, then, are these other areas of those homes had occupancy taken?
Not yet.
So how do we know how they're working before we go on and approve additional development? I'm not thinking that that's a wise move.
That is definitely a conversation for debate during public hearing. First reading, as right now, is just questions for clarity and understanding. And I'll just kind of remind council again, please to keep all your comments and opinions to yourself. This is questions for clarity and understanding. So make sure we have a fair public hearing without having those commentary from members of council prior to the public hearing. Any more questions for clarity and understanding? Councillor Loynes, you had your hand up.
My question was asked by Councillor Hansard, and I'll wait till public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Pleshko, you had your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. I was just going to refer to the 2 developments that you were talking about that have not yet started for approval within the region.
Thank you. Councillor Hansard, you had your hand up.
Your Worship, clarification. I'm hearing your comment. Did you take something that I said as questions, opinions? I didn't feel it was opinion. I was just trying to get clarification.
Yeah, that was a general comment as before I moved after you, so that.
Oh, you were just trying to make sure nothing happened? Nobody, okay.
Yeah, because I think you asked a good question. I think didn't want members of council to start debating with each other here because this is first reading.
Okay.
Okay. Councillor Lorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. Not sure if this is a question for answer tonight, but more so something that I'll put out there now so that we can be prepared for the public hearing. I am just curious, I didn't see anything in respect to the justification of the changing from the previous stage, having the 0 lot lines on the western side versus the changing to have the 0 lot lines on the eastern side, backing onto the existing properties. So again, I don't necessarily know that that's a question that we need an answer to tonight, but just something I want to put out there so that we have that for the public hearing.
Right. And that's actually a really good question because I had flagged that as well when I saw this first coming forward, is that it is a good question to ask. Okay. Any more questions, comments for clear and understanding? Councillor Lorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you to administration, in regards to the buffer zone and the wetland and that, is there any requirements or any answers that we need from Alberta Environment prior to proceeding forward with any of the approval of the subdivision?
Through Your Worship to Councillor Lorry, From my understanding, no. The applicant has informed us that the province has already provided acknowledgement acceptance of that portion of the wetland being disturbed for the area that's indicated as stage 18. Again, that would be something that we would definitely confirm at the subdivision stage, but at this point in time, it's not a necessity, but it's something we'd like to have in place before we move forward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Claire? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Meyer, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. And just in regards to the previous zero lot lines directly north of this, I'm just curious if for the next meeting we can be informed of how many have been built out, and to Councillor Hansard's comment about how many have been taken possession of.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other more questions for clear understanding? Okay, thank you. I think just one question for administration. Administration mentioned that the date for the public hearing was wrong. So instead of February 8th, it was February 12th. Is there enough time for us to get everything out to make sure that the public is aware and get it into our, following our, I guess, bylaw or public policy, whatever we have that we approved a little while ago?
Through your worship to all of council, yes, there is enough time. We've actually already been working on some of the stuff that will need to be in place, including a draft copy of the proposed site on the, or sign on the site. So yeah, there's sufficient time.
Okay, thank you. And then just another question regarding that too, because there was some conversation around when the sign gets placed on the property. I want to make sure that there was ample time. Can I guess administration confirm when that sign's up, so council has that the date when it's up, so we don't have to ask that question and have to go around this whole circle about when did it actually get up?
We can do that and highlight it in the report.
Okay, thank you. Any other more questions for clear understanding to administration? Okay. See none, Councillor Pletchko for first reading, please.
Yes, thank you, Worship. The Town Council give first reading to Bylaw 2683 LUO 24 to amend Land Use Bylaw 2671/LUO/23 and authorize administration to proceed with public notification as per public advertisement Bylaw 2681 G23 for a public hearing to be held on February 12th, 2024 for Bylaw 2683 LUO 24.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Pletchko, and I think that covers everything that we need to cover, so we can have our public hearing on February 12th. Members of Council, any questions or debate on the motion there to accept for first reading and to move forward? No? See none. Definitely, look forward to the developer coming forward in the presentation and hearing some of the commentary from our residents and whoever comes forward to speak at the public hearing. And definitely, it is always a good sign when there's always involvement or excitement into developing our community. With that, I'll call the question. All in favor? Okay. That is carried. Okay. Thank you. We're moving on with our agenda. So number 9, business items. Number 9.1 is the 2003 audit planning report. Go ahead, administration.
Thank you. Good evening, Your Worship and Council. The External Financial Audit Planning Report is an annual item that comes to Council to understand what the external auditor has planned regarding the upcoming audit on the financial statements. Council appoints the auditor, therefore the auditor reports directly back to Council. Metrics Group is our appointed auditor by Council for the continued years ending 2023 and 2024. The auditors work closely with financial services to provide them with the information they require, however, still directly report to Council. The plan outlines the scope and timing and provides an audit opinion of our financial statements as well as completes the financial information return to Municipal Affairs. This year, the new Public Sector Accounting Board standard is mandatory for PS 3280, which is Asset Retirement Obligations, and has been included in our engagement letter. The audit team has completed the interim audit in November, and the team will be back in March to complete the audit and report back to Council in April.
Okay. Thank you very much. Members of Council, any questions for clarity and understanding? Okay. Seeing none, I do have one question. on the lead sheet, it says council has approved metrics to be the town's auditor for 22, 23, 24. I seen that we're entering, this is for the 23 year, but we're entering the 2024 now. And seeing the plan and how detailed it is and when the company has to get started, what is the process going forward in terms of the RFD for the next 3-year commitment to audit the town's Stony Plain finances?
Thank you, through you, Worship, to you and all of council. In 2020, for the 2025 year end, fiscal year end, we will need to put out an RFP for an auditor and have bids on that. So that process will start in 2020, early 2025, so that we can ensure that we have a new auditor on board prior to the interim audit, which occurs in November 2025. So we want to make sure that we have that all in place and get it, all of everything set up. If we are changing auditors, we may end up with the same one depending on what the proposals are.
Okay. So in essence, probably more or less the first, second quarter of 2025 will be coming to council?
Yes, the RFP, through your worship, to you and all of council will be looking to go out in the first quarter of 2025.
Okay, thank you for that. That's all the questions I had. Any more questions for clear understanding from members of council? Okay. See none, Councillor Anderson for the motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move that Town Council accept the external financial 2023 audit planning report for information this evening.
Okay, thank you. That was a nice presentation from our administration. Any debate on the motion? Call the question, all in favor? That is carried. Move on to 9.2 of our business items, and this is a Stony Plain boards and committee review. Go ahead, administration.
Thank you, Your Worship. A couple opening comments prior to turning it over to our Manager of Legislative Services to walk through the, walk through the lead sheet. Your Worship, I want to say a little bit excited to have a committee review being presented in front of council. So what we're really intending here is to look at how to set up and build for the future of the community and the committee structures that support the work of council, support the work of staff, and certainly support the broader strategic goals of the town of Stony Plain. I know that the manager will walk through it, and I will just ask her to do it at this point.
Thank you. Good evening, Your Worship and members of council. In 2023, Legislative Services identified an opportunity to review council-established boards and committees to ensure legislative compliance, accountability, and transparency. This report provides an introduction to the council board and committee review project for council's information. Decision-making reports will be coming forward at future meetings throughout Q1 and Q2. The information report before council this evening outlines the scope of the project, legislative requirements, phases of implementation, and the next steps. Through the project, we seek to align with the Municipal Government Act and reflect the town's leadership principles. The project aims to achieve legislative compliance, clear and concise processes, increased transparency, diverse and inclusive committees, established roles and responsibilities, and an update of terms of reference to outline clear purpose and clarity. This project includes a review of the town's 4 currently established committees: the Community and Social Development Roundtable, the Cultural Roundtable, the Growth and Commerce Committee, and the Planning Advisory Committee. The scope does not include the Stony Plain Library Board, external boards and agencies, or quasi-judicial boards such as the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board. We have not included these additional boards and agencies because they are established under other legislative requirements or memorandum of understandings and are subject to different regulatory provisions. The Municipal Government Act provides that council committees and boards, by bylaw, be established, including their function and procedures. A council is not required to create council committees, but if a council does establish a council committee, they must do so by bylaw. Council committees can be known by various names, including Standing Committee, Steering Committee, Advisory Committee, Board, Task Force, or Working Group. Regardless of the naming convention, they are all subject to the same legal requirements. They must be established by bylaw. Notice of meetings must be provided to members of the committee and the public, and meetings must be open to the public unless closed pursuant to exemptions provided in the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. It should be noted that committees that are advisory in nature have very limited, if any, reason to go into closed. Committees can be established for a temporary period of time to review and advise on specific issues, or they can be established for an ongoing period to provide regular feedback on broader policy matters. Council-established committees are not intended to direct operational matters, but are established by council to act in an advisory capacity, meaning that they provide advice or recommendations that may be used by council in decision-making processes. The council board and committee review was laid out in 4 phases to provide an opportunity to complete comprehensive review of meeting procedures, existing policy and legislation, to conduct benchmarking, gather committee member and staff feedback, and to develop the required processes and framework to guide council boards and committees. Through the review, administration recognizes that council committees have provided feedback that have influenced decisions made with respect to social and community development, cultural services, economic development, and planning. Phase 1 of the project was completed throughout Q3 and Q4 of 2023 and included an assessment of committee minutes, agendas, and meeting procedures, gathering committee member feedback through a survey, consultation with staff liaisons, and initial review of the committee's terms of reference, review of committee-related policies related to selection and recognition of public members and ex officio member participation, and benchmarking of other Alberta municipalities. Phase 2 was started in Q4 of 2023 and will be completed throughout Q1 of 2024. This phase includes the creation of a governance framework bylaw for council consideration to regulate the creation of council boards and committees, including general expectations, the types of committees that can be established, purpose, membership, administrative support, meeting procedures, and roles and responsibilities. Repeal of current committee policies will be incorporated into the proposed new bylaw. These policies include the Citizen at Large member selection policy, the Recognition of Members policy, and the Ex officio Members policy. And finally, a review of the Code of Conduct for council and committee members as it relates to public committee members will be completed. Phase 3 is anticipated to be completed prior to the end of Q2 and will consist of the annual review of the 4 current committees' terms of reference, bringing forward and establishing bylaw and updated terms of reference for each specific committee to meet legislative requirements, enhancements to public member recruitment, and revisions to committee member recognition. Although the current committees have not been established by bylaw, they are operating in accordance with the intent they were established. The committees were originally established by council resolution based on administrative interpretation of the Municipal Act at that time. Legislative Services has clarified through benchmarking and consultation with both Municipal Affairs and Legal Counsel that the intent within the Act is that council committees shall be established by bylaw. Committees of council do not have decision-making authority and act in an advisory capacity only, and with that in mind, administration believes that since we have identified the legislative gap and are working on a manner to address that gap, that the committees can continue to function during this transition period. Phase 4 of the project will be the implementation of process improvements as defined through the review process, which will include but is not limited to development of orientation and procedural review for committee members, committee chair training, enhanced recruitment efforts, additional member recognition activities, and any other improvements that may be identified. This phase will commence in Q3 and continue in an ongoing manner as required. In relation to next steps, a general governance framework bylaw for creating council committees is being drafted. Administration anticipates bringing the draft structure and bylaw to council for feedback at a governance and priorities meeting in February or March, anticipating the bylaw will be endorsed prior to the end of Q1. Legislative Services will begin Phase 3 of the project and work with staff liaisons and committee members to complete the annual review of current terms of reference and bring forward proper establishing bylaws for each committee prior to the end of Q2. Administration is investigating additional ways to recognize and acknowledge committee members for their service, and a report to identify these will be brought forward to Council prior to the end of Q1. As well, enhanced recruitment options are being explored and will be rolled out in Q2. The Council Board and Committee Review Project fulfills Council's strategic priority related to governance and partners in cultivating a strong organizational structure and processes that deliver effective and efficient services. As well, the review highlights 4 of the town's leadership principles by being accountable, serving the public with pride and transparency, being stewards to the community, and committed to making a difference and providing good governance. Legislative Services looks forward to completing this project in an effort to improve and continue to support council-established committees, and I thank you for the opportunity to present to you this evening.
Thank you for the presentation, and definitely looking forward to the additional phases of the review. Members of council, any questions for clarity and understanding on the project? Councilor Anderson, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the presentation this evening. Certainly appreciate everything that's been brought to the table and love to see things like committee chair training put in there. Seeing things like enhanced recruitment and so on, I think is really important for us. 2 quick questions that came out of the presentation for me this evening. How are meetings currently advertised to the public? Just as an example, if there's a CSD roundtable meeting going to occur, how is the public currently made aware of that?
So through your worship to Councillor Anderson, at this time we are not publishing notification of the committee meetings to the public. The members of the committee are being provided that information.
Okay, if I'm not mistaken in the presentation, though, there was a mandate that we make committee meetings public so that, the general public is aware, not just the committee membership. Is that correct? So moving forward, that would be something that we're going to undertake, or did I misunderstand a piece there?
Through your worship to Councillor Anderson, no, you are correct. That is part of this review that we will be addressing in the governance framework that we'll be bringing forward in the next month.
Perfect, thank you for that. And then finally, do we have a system in place already, or is this something that would be considered as part of the review? Collecting feedback from current and or departing members of our committees to kind of hear from them what their experience was with the council committee. I know one of the quickest ways to lose people in terms of some of these positions is if they don't feel valued in their role, or that their role actually has influence in what they're bringing to the table. And so do we have a mechanism in place, or will we, to collect feedback from our members about their experience on our council committees?
Good.
So through your worship to Councillor Anderson, so in the early fall of 2023, we did send a survey out to all of the existing committee members to gather some feedback with respect to the committee, and that feedback has been obtained and is part of the review that we're doing. And we do anticipate providing additional mechanisms to continually get that feedback throughout the term of council when committees are established.
Perfect, thank you for that. And I think that's an important piece, is that we have an ongoing, dialogue of sorts where we're collecting that feedback from our committee members in terms of how we can make the most of their time and contribution to us. So thank you for those responses.
Your Worship, if I may just add a bit further to that. So, and I think that's the strength of the project, not just for, current. The other side of this notion is that the I forget the technical name, but the bylaw that would establish would also define and set sort of parameters for any committee going forward. I would foresee, each and every individual committee will have its own ways of doing certain things. I think that's something that council should keep in mind as we kind of move along about setting a standard that council will expect from all committees, both current and potential future, but balancing with some room for the individual committee itself to, do its own thing to a degree, but establishing a standard that will be expected across the board.
Thank you for that additional commentary. Councillor Hansard.
Thank you, Your Worship. I need clarification through you to perhaps our
Yeah, just-
our member of staff that just spoke. What I'm looking for, when the statement is made that the committees be public, are we speaking that the meetings need to be open, so if we're having meetings here in the town building, that people can come and sit in on the meetings? Are we talking that we're going to broadcast them? Are we talking that public members, people of the public can become members of the committee? Could you clarify that? And then I have another question.
Go ahead.
Through your worship to Councillor Hansard. So the Municipal Act is clear that both council meetings and council committee meetings must be open to the public. And that interpretation is that the public has the right to know the meeting is occurring and has the right to attend should they wish to attend the meeting.
Thank you. Anything else?
Yes, I do, Your Worship. So I'm looking at another piece of this, information that was in our package and what you've shared this evening, and that has to do with notice of meetings. What kind of notice of meetings, and don't answer right away, because I need to explain why I'm asking. We often sit on meetings, I'm sitting on 2 right now, that have had to adjust their time. We have stated meetings, we adopt the agenda early in the year so that we know when we're having our meetings for the whole next year. But sometimes there's conflicts, and sometimes people are sick or different committee members go away, and there's not enough people to have quorum. So if you have an announced meeting and it's been put out to the public that they can come, because we now have to give notice to the public. It's quite one thing to notify 6 or 8 people on a committee that we're canceling this month's meeting or we're moving this meeting to 2 weeks from now. But if we have to make this announcement public, that seems a little awkward, only because things are not in cement. Hardly anything I find in this life is cement, and I found out being part of council, we can change an awful lot. It's slow, but we can change it. So I'm just curious about how we handle notice of meetings. Are we going to have to go back to advertising in the paper? We only get a paper once a week, so that's awkward if it's got to be that kind of announcement. Is it good if we put it on our website? I just would like clarification around that, please.
Okay, I think that's a good question. I think that'd be very similar to what council has done in the past. Every year at our council's organization meeting, we approve all the dates for our council meetings. If we happen to change it or move it around, then that's just a notice through our website, through our social media, and just notice on the door saying that it is changed to a different date. So we're not notifying the 19,000 residents that we've changed it. It is accessible for everybody, and just like council, every October we approve all the dates that we're meeting. And if we need to change it, then we will do that, and that's just advertised on the doors, just through our social media.
Okay. With all respect to you, Mr. Mayor, I think I was almost ready to answer the question. Is what the mayor said exactly kind of what you were going to say?
Through your worship to Councillor Hansard, yes. So the Act doesn't specify what notification has to formally consist of, but there's an expectation that the public would be notified in a manner in which they expect. So as the mayor indicated, our procedure bylaw does indicate that council meeting notification will be on the town's website. So I would suggest that our committee process would follow a similar manner, and we would update our procedure bylaw to address that or address it in the governance framework bylaw.
Okay.
Yes, too. And as well, I think if council ever needs to have a special meeting, it's 24 hours notice as well to have a special meeting of council. So
Will that hold on these committees?
that's for staff to review to see how they want to come forward with those comments and how they want to structure that.
It would be wonderful if it doesn't get so complicated. And I do have one other question, but I'm certainly willing to stand down.
You have another question? Go ahead.
Others.
You have another question?
You want me to go? This is a different subject. Somewhere along the line, I picked up the idea that the town staff it was best under the Municipal Government Act, I don't know where, if the town staff did not chair committees and boards or whatever that have been set by council. I'm just wondering, is that something that's being addressed by this review? And if so, I know a cultural roundtable, for instance, is chaired by our culture and development, tourism development officer. So what happens when we've got that lined up? And then we happen to have our CAO chairing our Growth and Commerce Committee. What happens with all of that? If we're now revising all of this to fit what the Municipal Government Act says, does the Municipal Government Act speak to that? And if so, what shall we do about it?
Okay, so again, that's good questions, Councillor Hansard. So if, when the review is completed and administration brings forward the council committee bylaw, then at that time, if it's adopted, then those chairs, those organizations that do have chairs that are no longer allowed, then that board will have to have an election to appoint another chair, just like every other committee that there is. So there's not an issue here. It is how we've been operating, as mentioned by the general manager, that all the boards will continue to operate as is until the review is completed and council approves the council committee bylaw.
And with that, Your Worship, I know that on Growth and Commerce, for instance, there'd be no problem with anyone there becoming a chair. We might like it when we don't have to work as hard, but we have no problem getting a strong enough personality to be chair. But I did at one point speak to our culture development officer, and she indicated that no one on the board wanted to be a chair. So perhaps we need to make people who are applying for boards and committees aware that if called upon to do so, they may have to take chair or vice chair position. Because if we move to a place where staff is not allowed to be the chair, we have to know that we've got people in place who will take the job. And it should not default back where the staff member has got double duty, doing their job and being chair of this committee. Just a comment. Thank you.
Okay. That's a great commentary, and I think that ties into what Councillor Anderson asked earlier in terms of the presentation, that we're looking at chair training as well, part of the whole bylaw review. So as staff go through it and it's the bylaw is created, and that's definitely something that I noticed you mentioned it and Councillor Anderson's mentioned it, so make sure that there is kind of a line in there for chair training in those committee bylaws. Councillor Loyens, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. Going back to the 4 committees that this project was entailing, the only committee that doesn't currently have public on it is Growth and Commerce. Is this bylaw going to be an umbrella and all 4 are just going to allow for public, or is there going to be allowances for Growth and Commerce not to have public?
Through your worship to Councillor Loyens, so the governance framework bylaw will address all types of committees, those that have a combination of public and council, those that are just councilors, and those that are just public. So it will define the different types of committees and outline how they operate similarly and the differences as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. And so as I read through this, I was looking for an opportunity for where council was going to get our fingerprints on it. And listening to our presentation, I heard feedback at a GNP council. So I'm through you to administration, just looking for some clarity. At that growth and priorities meeting, if I understood that right, in February or March, would be our opportunity.
Okay,
Through your
timeline,
worship,
go ahead.
To Deputy Mayor, yes. So our goal is to bring a draft of the bylaw and a framework for council to review and provide feedback so that we can get your thoughts on the matter and to give you an understanding of the specifics of what administration is considering.
Okay, perfect. Good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions for clear understanding? Members of council? Okay, definitely, I look forward to this work coming forward. Again, it's always good to review the boards and commissions and committees that we do have. I know from time to time, I've struck some task force, which has been approved by this council and has changed to standing committees and different things. So this is a good review to make sure that we have a standardized format for us to move forward in terms of, building our community forward in terms of making different committees that we want to focus on. I think members of council has definitely been aware that our community is changing. It's growing, and there's more issues and pressures on a community that were not there in the past. And it's good to have that kind of set and defined bylaw where it states how we create a committee so that we can look at some topics that affect the community today and not tomorrow, or what's going to affect us tomorrow, not today. So it's good to have that, and I look forward to seeing that bylaw come forward. See, there's no more hands up, so I'll go to Councillor Loynes for the motion, please.
The town council accept the town of Stony Plains boards and committees review report for information.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Loynes. Any debate on the motion to accept for information? See none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I didn't see your hand. Go ahead.
No, I apologize. It took me a second to frame my question, and it could have been asked actually prior to the motion being on the floor, but I just found the section in the MGA, or the Municipal Government Act, that speaks to council-established committees and that sort of thing. And so I'm just looking actually for clarity on a comment by one of my colleagues about staff, municipal staff cannot be the chair. I don't actually find that in the MGA, so I just want to clarify, is that an MGA sort of requirement that staff can't share committees, or was this something that we just heard in discussion somewhere else? I'm not sure. I'm just looking for some clarity on where that comment may have come from.
Through your worship to Councillor Anderson. So you are correct, the MGA doesn't specify who can chair meetings, but the governance framework bylaw will address voting members versus support staff. And when you define your voting members on the boards, that will define how you select your chair.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that question.
Yeah, I apologize for the late question there, but I appreciate the time to ask. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, any more questions, comments, debate? Go ahead, Councillor Lorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I just wanted to clarify further to Councillor Anderson's question. I believe the town currently has an ex officio policy on record, and that is where it states in regards to staff not being chairs.
Okay, so that's why our staff will review it and create a bylaw that allows it. And I think that was addressed, and I think really well worded by defining voting members and non-voting members in committees, and the chair, vice chair can only be voting members. So if a member is there without voting privileges, then the ability to be a chair, vice chair is non-existent. Okay. So any other questions, comments? Okay. With that, I'll call the question in favor. It's carried. Okay, moving on to number 10, which is council discussion. We've come back from our Christmas break, so we'll start with Councillor Loynes. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to say thank you to the staff that put on Family Fest. It was very different this year as we had no snow and it wasn't super cold, but the kids all seemed to enjoy being able to roll down the hill this year instead of tobogganing, which was great to see. But once again, it was full and it was wonderful, so thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lorry, please.
Nothing this evening, Your Worship. Thank you.
Councillor Pletchko.
Nothing this evening, thank you.
Councillor Anderson.
Jumping all over the place.
Keep you guys on your toes.
There you go. Start this, like, I'm going to tell you an anecdote from school today, but met with my grade sixes for the first time since the break, and we talked about having an attitude of gratitude to start the year. And so certainly something I think that I would like to focus on during council discussion is making sure that we acknowledge our gratefulness and thankfulness for the good things that happen in our community. And Councillor Loynes took the one that I had written down here, but the public discourse around the Family Fest this year was tremendous, and heard so many good things about the activities despite, not being snow and whatnot, and how excited they were, and potentially even a good problem to have, asking about where we could have more parking in the future so that more people can make their way down and come. But certainly a sense of appreciation from us here on council, but also the community for all the work that went into that program. So thank you to those that were involved there.
Thank you very much, and thank you for starting that, and I definitely appreciate it and look forward to every council meeting for your moment of gratitude. Thank you. And I'll hold you to that.
I'm planning to follow through, so there you go, and maybe others will follow suit. So
thank you very much. Councillor Hansard.
Your Worship, thank you. I I really don't care if Councillor Loin spoke to Family Fest, Winterfest. Sometimes some of us might one-up what she said, and I intend to do that. What I want to say is, honestly, I've attended so many of those, and I believe that was the biggest one we've ever had. Obviously, the warm weather contributed, but there were so many people that made all the magic happen there. The Lions, I forget how many hundreds and hundreds of hot dogs and hamburgers. Stony Plain Public Library with their popcorn was a big hit. I think the Kinsmen were involved, Scouts Canada. The DJ in the pavilion was pretty fantastic. The energy was so great in there, I got vibrated right outside, I'll tell you. I met people from all over. I even met two people, different areas of Saskatchewan. I think Tom, our CAO, Mr. Golden, told them to come so that we could tell people that the world comes to Stony Plain for Winterfest. But I was so impressed, and I will confess to leaving just before the fireworks ended because I knew I would not get out of that parking lot forever. And I did hear from people, the only bad thing was not being able to get out of the parking lot. So honestly, we really packed them in, and it was a fabulous effort on the part of so many. And I certainly want to speak to our staff and Public Works who always do such an outstanding job. Everybody, thank you so much, because if we weren't already on the map, that would have put us on the map. Did I up Councillor Loins, Mr. Mayor? I'm asking for your judgment call.
Well, I don't have any favorites, but that was a one-up, that's all. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, so former Councillor Bruce Loy would always say if somebody's already said it once, there's no need to say it again. So I'll say the tree looked really good this year, because I don't think that was mentioned.
It was taken down today.
And they did a good job bringing it down, and I appreciate that. Also looking forward to representing the town at the Mid-Cities Mayor's Caucus, as well as strategic plan coming up. And so busy week for us, and see you guys all again next week.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And I would just like to again echo the comments from fellow councillors about the amount of work and our staff did to get Family Fest to go without a hitch. Well, there's always hitches, but to the best that we can see, nobody knows all the behind the scenes, everybody running around and make sure everything was all taken care of, but that was well done. Kudos to whoever contracted the fireworks display. I got some reports that was spot on, the best that they've seen ever. So kudos to our staff, whoever they contracted. And again, thank you to our partners. I think there was a few mentioned by Councillor Hansard. Activities like this in our community do not happen without the support and the donations of our community, of sponsors to make that happen. Our staff alone cannot make it happen, so we definitely will make sure we say kudos and thank you, as Councillor Anderson. Gratitude to our community partners that do make our events happen and as enjoyable as they are. And also with, as mentioned by Deputy Mayor, we will be attending a Mid-Sized Cities Mayor's Summit coming here soon in the next couple of days. And again, it's an opportunity for like-sized municipalities to get together, to have a conversation about best practices, what's happening in communities, and how we move forward together as kind of mid-sized cities. And advocacy is a great part of what we do. We have to work with both the provincial government and ourselves. And a lot of the advocacy work that we've done, I think, played a big part in the release on, I guess, the acknowledgement and the formula for the local government fiscal framework. Within that framework, mid-sized municipalities actually received a better deal than what we currently have with the MSI. So in terms of funding coming forward, the next couple of years, we'll see a little bit of an increase to our funding from the provincial government. And that happens because the mid-sized cities realize that we are the growing population, the growing municipalities that are housing the 100,000 people that are coming to our communities, and we need to make sure we have proper infrastructure and resources to address some of that, and that was definitely taken into account by the Premier and the members of caucus and the ministers there as well. Definitely looking forward, hopefully that the Premier does attend again, but right now we have confirmation that the Deputy Premier is there. Also, the couple ministers, Municipal Affairs is there as well, so for us to lobby and talk about the events and the projects that we have in Stony Plain, and seek their support for continue that partnership between the town of Stony Plain and the provincial government to grow our communities. That's it for me for council discussion. Move on to our agenda number 11. There is no closed meeting scheduled for tonight. So move on to adjournment. So we are adjourned until the next meeting, which is in 2 Mondays from now. Thank you, and have a good evening.